Start off with vocal chops. Post-processing includes distortion, reverb, and EQ, atmosphere. Post-processing includes OTT, reverb, blood overdrive, and EQ, a fill for ear candy, piano melody. Processing includes OTT, soundgoodizer, reverb, fresh air, and EQ, piano. To make your chord progressions feel more alive and realistic, use the strummer tool, as this adds emotional impact and less robotic, as real musicians can't hit all notes perfectly at the same time. Post-processing includes OTT, soundgoodizer, reverb, fresh air, and EQ, strings with a melody on top. For the processing, OTT, reverb, fresh air, and EQ. An acoustic guitar with a reverse to bring in smoothly. Processing includes reverb, fresh air, and soundgoodizer, extra vocal chops to anticipate the drop. Vocals.
I wish I knew how to say goodbye.
To make the vocals powerful and more polished, you can use an EQ to cut off some of the initial frequencies, a compressor to make the vocals feel upfront and more present in the mix, and a parallel EQ, as it makes it sound rich, fuller, and restores the lost energy from the compressor. Also, reverb, fresh air for some clarity in the highs, and EQ. For the layers in the vocals, I've used another one for atmosphere, which adds depth and space, making it feel wider in the mix. For the processing, I used a camel crusher, delay, a ton of reverb, and EQ. Another layer for ad-libs to fill out the space and silence between the main vocal. For the processing, camel crusher, reverb, EQ, and a peak controller which automates the wet signal for the delay so it doesn't sound muddy. Another vocal chop for ear candy and anticipation. SadBois. Processing includes saturation and EQ. I've added rim shots with reverses for each 2 bars. Apply an EQ and reverb. Transition. Fills. Lead guitar. Guitar ARP. Chugs. These all have the same effect chains, just with slight adjustments on each. Soundgoodizer, EQ, distortion, fresh air, and fruity balance. Picking guitar. This has an extra effect, which is the filter to introduce it in the second half of the song. Power chords. It has distortion and fruity balance. Muted guitar. I just added fruity balance. Punk bass. For the processing, OTT, blood overdrive, EQ, and fruity balance. Make sure to sidechain them all. Drums. Applied an OTT and EQ. Transition. Switch up the drums for the pre-chorus. Transition. To make your vocals for the chorus stand out, I've duplicated them but pitched down 1 octave or 12 semitones to help it feel wider, more textured, and emotionally resonant. It may sound weird on its own, but with context with the whole song, it's very subtle but can add a lot. I've used the same processing as the main vocals, another piano melody which follows the melody of the vocal. Strings with more harmony. String melody. For the whole orchestral bus, I've applied a sound goodizer, OTT, reverb and fresh air, risers for the build. For the automation, I applied a master stereo separator which narrows the stereo image during the build-up and then restores it to full stereo at the drop for a psychoacoustic trick. This is the same for the volume automation. Also added an EQ in the master for automating the high and low end for tension. Finally, automating all the elements in the build to just having the vocals with no reverb right before the drop hits, so it can maximize the impact of the drop. Drop drums. An OTT has been applied to glue them together. For the kick, I applied a soft clipper to make it punch more. For the snare, I added an EQ to cut off the unwanted low end, reverb for depth and presence, plus a soft clipper. Atmosphere. Post-processing includes OTT, sound goodizer, reverb, and EQ. Used white noise and crowd effect to fill out the frequency spectrum and to enhance dynamics. I've applied an EQ for both to shape the sound. Fills. Just added a fat rack for energy. ARP. Applied OTT, sound goodizer, reverb, and EQ. Sub-bass. Applied an EQ, distortion, another EQ and wave shaper to give it more power. Mid-bass. Applied 2 EQs, OTT, and sound goodizer. Used analog supersaw samples to give the whole saw stack more depth. Post-processing includes EQ, OTT, sound goodizer, reverb, and another EQ. Saws. I used OTT, sound goodizer, reverb, and 2 EQs. Guitars. Excluding the muted guitar, I applied saturation, OTT, and EQ. Vocal atmosphere. Applied a fat rack, reverb, and EQ. Also, panned it left and right for movement. Vocal chops. I used the same ones from the original song but added some of my own as well. Processing includes EQ, wave shaper, delay, reverb, and another EQ. For the sidechain bus, I have a fruity balance for the sidechain and a limiter as all the drop elements go into this bus and so it doesn't go over 0 decibels. For the whole drop elements bus, I have a fat rack and EQ. Also in the drops, there is a cutoff automation for some movement, but also ear candy. A sub drop and a little vocal transition to go from the drop to the rest of the track. Also, for the second build, I added build-up drums with effects and fills. The second drop has a switch-up with a melodic lead melody being added. For the processing, saturation, OTT, fresh air, 2 EQs, reverb, another EQ and transient processor. Finally, I added an LFO for the drop using another fruity balance for the sidechain bus for the whole drop, with automating the volume with the pulse mode and messing around till you get what you like, and also automating the fruity balance effect so the LFO is smoothly being introduced and finished.
Holding on, but nothing changes. We're in the same book, but on a different page.